Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30 and the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education meeting will come to order. We will turn to Ms. Lily Hakes for a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. Thank you, Lily. Ms. Wheeler, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Don't have any public comments, so I want to read a couple statements before we begin. Before I do that, though, I want to welcome Ms. Lynn Voles, the Executive Director for BCPEF, with us tonight. Thank you for joining us. Faithful attender. The Cleveland City School Board of Education is committed to providing a high-quality education to all students and to working collaboratively with the community to achieve this goal. As chairman for the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education, I'm committed to a couple things that I wanted to mention tonight: running an orderly meeting, an efficient meeting, and treating everyone with respect. Board members will be provided equal voice for all matters and should communicate through the Director of Schools for addressing his staff. Here are a couple of reminders for parents and community. Board of Education policies can be found on the clevelandschools.org website. When there, click on District, Board of Directors, and select Board Policies. Our meetings are not public forum. However, the board has made accommodations for a city resident, a Cleveland City Schools employee, or parent guardian of a Cleveland City Schools student to address the board a couple different ways. Those ways can be found in School Board Policy 1.404, which includes these options: appearing before the board via a pre-meeting request or addressing the board on agenda items via same-day requests. All right, so next on the agenda, the first thing we have is the consent agenda. And I'd like to ask the board, is there anything that is on the consent agenda that you would like removed? All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as provided. All right, we have first by Mr. Coleman and second by Ms. Ingram. Please call the vote.
Renee Diamond.
Yes.
Matthew Coleman.
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram.
Yes.
Andy Lay.
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield.
Yes.
Jody Riggins.
Yes.
Nate Tucker.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is our regular agenda, and I will turn to Dr. Elliott for Director's Update.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tucker. We have a few updates here to share with you tonight. Exciting. Just a quick turnaround since our last board meeting, just 3 weeks ago. So I have a few things, though, that have been going on. And tonight, during my highlights, I just wanted to feature some really great partners that we have. And October highlights kind of showcase those. And so, first of all, we had a great breakfast with the board at Cleveland High School a few weeks ago. A good time to spend with their administrative team and our board around the table discussing what is happening there, and had good discussion, and we'll hear some highlights later from Cleveland High School during our spotlight time. But some of those partners began with that evening I was able to attend, and some of you, the 24/7 Choices Matter movement banquet and 24/7 over the last 3 years have been really instrumental in getting a positive message out to our community and also to our students about the importance of safety and driving safety as well. So that was a well-attended banquet, and glad to be a part of that. The next day, the state, speaking of partners and encouragement, the state of Tennessee sent 4 delegates here from the Department of Ed to visit Blythe Bower and over at Stewart and our Family Resource Center to see some really good things happening with All Pro Dad, also with our behavior classroom called TAB over at Stewart, and also our Barber's Market and things going on with the Family Resource Center. And the state individuals had so many positive things to say about all 3 of those programs, and shout out to those groups who are leading the way in that area. So the state is a great partner with us. ATS The Bridge. We've partnered with them over the last few years, and they offered for several of our leaders. We had some of our high school staff along with district staff attend a day training on regional drug trends training. Very insightful onto the what's going on in the world with vapes and gummies and other products that are out there that our youth are accessing. And so well attended by our staff, and I appreciate the leadership from ATS The Bridge helping us out with that. The Hall of Fame was on that Friday, and that was great to see partners from our graduates over the years, and we had a good graduating group who we celebrated on October 17th. We had our board retreat in October 23rd, and then another great partner, our local Chamber of Commerce, celebrated their 100th year, and a tremendous event a couple of Saturday nights ago. Our city council worked with us on voting and coming around that last Monday on the 920 Mouse Creek Road property, and it's good to have a good partnership with the city council. Our Tennessee Tiered Support Center, that is an organization that we're working with out of UTK that has helped navigate us through our 3-year grant on behavior and addressing and putting structures into place on Tier 1 and Tier 2, and now we're working on investigating Tier 3 this year out of the 3 years. But they honored us last Wednesday with a nice little award for Cleveland City Schools for being a change maker school system, one of 8 in the state, and so we were proud of that. That represents all the work that our staff and our teachers are doing to address behaviors and interventions, but also academic interventions throughout the schools. So congratulations to Cleveland City Schools for that. And then, that's a good. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is last Thursday we had a good event called Vision 100 with the BCPF, and they are tremendous partners and supporters of what we're doing here in Cleveland City Schools, so a shout out to them, and a great event over at Filiere Lake on Thursday evening. So great partnerships, and those are some of the highlights from October. Coming up in November, just right around the corner this week, Maryville City Schools is be visiting us to take a look at our iPads and our technology going on around. We're going to take them specifically over to Cleveland Middle School to see the middle school programming, and also down at Blythe Bower to see the Blythe Bower programming. So thank you to Dr. Raper and his team for organizing and hosting that. On November the 6th, BCPF hosts the GAP students for a breakfast. I'll be attending that with our mayors and a few other local delegates to welcome them. It's great to have them in town over these couple of weeks here. Next week is Veterans Day, and several of our schools, I've been talking with several of them. They have some great ideas and programs underway and planning, and that's always a special day for us to honor our veterans around the school. We'll be at TSBA the end of next week over in Nashville for the convention. On November 17th, the Monday, a week before the Thanksgiving break, we are going to do a Cleveland Community Bus Tour for individuals who would like to join us for that day, meet here. And we're going to take them on a bus and go down to Blythe Bower, see an elementary school in action, go to Cleveland Middle School to see the middle school in action, and then walk through and see some of the great things happening over at Cleveland High School. And then we'll end back up here with a lunch, a box lunch. Chef Montgomery is going to help us with that from Culinary and their team to provide that so we can showcase all the fantastic STEAM and arts projects and all the academic things going on inside the buildings, and we're looking forward to that. So there is a QR code for people to sign up for that, and we have that out there, so we're getting people to sign up, and we'll review and see how many we have at the end of this week to get ready for that. And finally, breakfast with the board, our next one's at Cleveland Middle School, and that's coming up on November the 18th. Quick question.
How many does that bus hold? How many people?
Well, we can hold probably more than we will put as far as adults are on there. So we will probably look at about 30 to 40 on a bus. We're not going to cram them in there. We want them to have a little bit of comfortable experience along the way. But we will be narrating and navigating as we travel to a little bit about what's going on in Cleveland City Schools.
Who's the top? Like, who are you trying to get to participate on the bus?
Yeah, we reached out. The chamber has many partners, and so we have a list of partners and follow up with them. So we've sent that out to them. We've sent it out to our city council and invited them to come, and our legislators, whoever would like to come and join us. And so any of them are welcome to sign up, and you guys are invited to join us if you'd like as well. Okay. Cleveland High School, they're the school of the month, and so we honored the champion student today over at the band area, Eli Gallagher. It was great to surprise him. He was out unloading a truck, and we went over and the band students surprised him with Mr. Pritchard, and we honored him as being the champion of the month, doing some great things over there. He's junior, I believe, is what we were talking about today. Is that right? Senior. He's a senior. Okay, he is a senior. And then our champion staff member is Nicole Williams, doing fantastic stuff. So shout out to our champions. The last couple of things I want to showcase are many happenings every month at our schools, and this fall you can see a lot of activities at our elementary schools, from book character days, dress-up days, to as we honored last month, Officer Harris retired over at Candy's Creek, Cherokee. You had movie nights, family nights going on over at Ross and Yates, a great turnout. Blythe Bower, a huge turnout for their fall festival in the left corner. Down at the bottom, some STEAM activities going on over at Mayfield. And then Stewart held their staff did a pumpkin decorating contest and raised money, pennies and quarters to go towards Barber's Market. And so they did a great job there. So a lot of fun activities this fall going on around our elementary schools. Over at our secondary schools, we had the trunk or treat at Cleveland High School last Monday night, well attended. It moved inside because of the rain, but that did not stop the crowd from coming out. Huge and well attended, and all our clubs and athletic groups and teams all got together and sponsored different booths around the track at the arena, and it was amazing. You can see some pictures of Barber's Market. This fall we had some plants come in. It was time to harvest those to put into the market. And then also we have a transition in our sports seasons. Bowling and swim there have kicked off, and I wanted to highlight those as we'll get into other fall sports next month, but they've already gotten going and moving on strong. The middle school has a lot of activities happening, and some track stars, cross-country stars recognized there as well. So fun times. One last thing is a few months ago we recognized Sam McReynolds came through and saw our building. Sam McReynolds came and recognized our building, and he's has a rich history here in the ESC, working with Cleveland Bank and Trust. And Rodney Fitzgerald, a good friend of Cleveland City Schools, and Margot Fitzgerald were here a couple of Fridays ago. And when they came and toured the building and saw that, and I just put the marker up there because Rodney, looked at this and saw where his dad, Arch Fitzgerald, was a big contributor and part of the board of directors when this building was built. So a shout out. It was great to see them. They have relocated to Collierville, but it's always good to see the Fitzgeralds back around our area. They've been great supporters of Cleveland City Schools and the Fitzgerald Award that we recognize each year at Convocation. So that's my highlights and update for the night.
All right, board members, are there any questions or comments you'd like for Dr. Elliott? All right, next on the agenda, we have a spotlight, and we'll turn it back to you, Dr. Elliott, for the high school spotlight.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Pritchard to step up here. He is going to give our highlights and spotlight for tonight, the principal at Cleveland High School.
Thanks for having me tonight. I could literally talk about Cleveland High School for hours, but Dr. Elliott said I had 6-7 minutes, so we're gonna go with that. Sorry. So Cleveland High School, there are so many wonderful things happening, and it was really hard to narrow it down to just a couple of minutes worth of stuff. So I went through and started looking at some things that we're proud of. Our academics. AP recognition, 10 of our 19 AP courses that we offer at Cleveland High School are above the state and local averages, and even above the national averages. And then we've got our all-state and regional honors choir. We've got all-state show choir participant. We've got freshman all-East choir. We've got the Constitution Bowl. It was our first time participating in this Constitution Bowl at Lee University, and we were in the top 10. But the cool thing about that is we were the only school that was a public school that was in the top 10. And it was our first time, and y'all know that somebody's got to be number one. Why not us? So we're coming after it next time. So the next thing was National Beta School of Merit. This is huge. We have more than doubled in size over the last year or so, and so Nicole Williams is a big part of that. She's our champion of the month, and so proud of her for the work that she's done and the other people in that. Also, district and regional champs for volleyball. Uh-oh, I went the wrong way. I told you I was colorblind. There we go. Global connections. We welcomed six GAP students this week. We also had Nissan donated 2 vehicles to us. We welcomed our new teachers. Since we have a chef on campus, I'm like, we're feeding our new teachers steak and taters. And so we had steak and taters for those guys, and they were excited about that. I thought this was cool. Raider Evolve students raised $4,000 for pediatric cancer. I thought that was really cool. Our ROTC 9/11 memorial we did, they walked the 200 steps up and down the bleachers. I thought that was really cool to commemorate that and memorialize that. Trunk or Treat, as Dr. Elliott said, was a great show out. Theater did a great job with the Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe. And then, look at here, welding boot camp partnerships. We got all these CTE partnerships that are happening with Cleveland State and with TCAT. This is just a great community outreach for our kids. I threw these pictures up here. Pearson Waller, she is a 2-time world champion horsewoman. And so I wanted to throw her picture up there and give her a shout out. And there's some Raider Evolve pictures. Cross country is going to state, and Lily will be in Memphis participating in cross country as they go to state. We had a great Hall of Fame ceremony and game that night. We won that game, and I went backwards again. No, I went the right way. Transformational changes. Y'all know the anxiety that was filled in this summer with trying to figure out exactly what we want to do with cell phones, exactly, what we wanted to do with the RISE transformation or redesign, the RBA transformation. There's lots of things that we did this past summer that brought about change, and it also brought about some anxiety because we're like, how are people going to take this? Is this going to flop? We've got guest speakers coming to RBA. We've got DBT and SEL classes that are happening. We have a partnership with Move Therapy coming in and doing guest speaking, and he's doing all these little tricks with them. And then also targeted professional development. We tried to cut out meetings unless they were really beneficial, and we're trying to have targeted meetings with individual teachers and with individual groups instead of a blanket faculty-type meeting. And so I want you to see these changes. They were tough, but I asked our classes to put together a little video for you here. I want you to see this video real quick.
What's your name and what do you teach here at CHS?
Jamie Withrow, and I now currently teach CTE, Engineering and Robotics.
How has the phone role been beneficial to you as a CTE teacher this year?
Wonderful, because in this classroom, my kids are able to be more hands-on. They are thinking processes through, and overall, they can basically focus better than they did before.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
Well, I definitely think it removed a lot of distractions that we were having to battle before. I haven't really had any cell phone use, or at least my kids are really, really good at hiding it. It used to be a real problem, in the last couple of years, but this year, not so much. I will say also that I have noticed that students spend a lot more time socially discussing things with each other, interacting more, so that when they are off task, at least they're getting some kind of human benefit from that by being, face to face and conversing and practicing social, things as well. So that's kind of the two big things I've seen from it.
Has the phone rule been beneficial to you this year?
The phone rule, it's been kind of fun. Lunch, I get to talk more to my friends, and in class, I'm focused on my work and on my phone.
Yes, sir. That's great. How has the phone rule been beneficial to you this year?
I think the phone rule has just been beneficial to me because, it gives me a good break and it gives me less of a distraction. I get to talk to my friends more.
So I really wanted to say thank you to you guys for your support in that. That was a huge endeavor to the school system, and to the directors over here, and to the school board. And it is one thing that 100%, you never find something that 100% of teachers agree on. We did. And so this was like every teacher in the building says this was a game changer for us. And so I appreciate it. And so I wanted to throw I couldn't leave here without bragging on a little bit of data here real quick. I sent this out to our staff right at the end of the quarter. And so we revamped RISE, we took out phones and started doing intentional PD. And this is the data that I want you to look at those numbers from 2023 until now. Fights. 2023, we had 23 fights. Last year, we had 20. This year, at the first quarter, we had 2. And so I want you to look at that. The classes failed. Like, we're doing remarkable work. Our teachers are working really, really hard. Our students are working hard. And we're holding everybody accountable to that. And kind of here's the bottom line. 46% fewer suspensions, 90% fewer fights, 80% fewer violent incidences, and 723 fewer classes failed since 2023. So our teachers are working so hard. Our students are working so hard. And so I had to put the last little phrase down here. Somebody's got to be number one. Wow, is it losing it? It's losing it. Let's try that one more time. Somebody's got to be number one. Why not us? All right. Well, thank y'all so much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pritchard. Before you step away, anybody have any comments or questions?
I'll comment and say thanks for having a strong showing at the Rotary Club of Cleveland this past Tuesday when the Rotary International president was there. So Cleveland was well represented, and that looks like that club's on its way to be rejuvenated.
Sir.
So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bob, I think I speak for the whole board to say thank you for what is happening at Cleveland High School.
Thank you for saying that.
See it, we read it, and just say thank you to the teachers because they're the ones that.
That's right.
I know you all work hard.
That's right.
But at the end, it's those classrooms.
They're the difference makers. That's right. That's right. That's good. Thank you. That's right. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Pritchard.
All right, next on the agenda, we have the first reading of policies, and this is a voting agenda item. I'll turn to Ms. Jody Riggins.
Okay, this is policy 4.214. The change that we have made, you need to go on down a little bit there, right there. This is a local change that was made through the tech department for safety purposes. This is a change we made here, try to making AI more, safer. Any questions? We got the man over here who can answer all the questions if you have any. No? Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we accept this policy change.
So move.
We have a motion on the floor to accept this policy as presented, and we have and that was made from Ms. Riggins and second by Ms. Pesterfield. I'd like to entertain, or let's call the vote.
Matthew Coleman.
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram.
Yes.
Andy Lay.
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield.
Yes.
Jody Riggins.
Yes.
Nate Tucker.
Yes.
Renee Diamond.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, next on the agenda, we have the strategic plan focus for special populations. Dr. Elliott?
All right, I'm going to call on Dr. Stone to give us an update on special populations that's going on right now. And he does a great job for us here in the world of special education, and so he's going to share some updates for us tonight.
Well, first, just thank you all for giving me the opportunity to come and share with you all a little bit about our special populations. Each November, I try to do a kind of a little snapshot to let you know how they're doing. But I also want to thank Mr. Pritchard for warming things up. He was sort of the opening band. Now we can get to the really good stuff. Actually, it's pretty intimidating following these spotlights because all the schools, all the principals do an excellent job. It kind of makes my job easy. There's a point I want to make is that when I watch these spotlights, what really touches me is seeing all the all the students, special education students that are embedded and that have been embraced by all of our schools. And I don't know if I could say that 10 years ago, but right now, regular ed, just the way they have wrapped their arms around our special populations and made them feel like they're, not just feel, they are just a part of our student body, and you can't tell the difference. And that's a real testament to the job that on both sides, the regular ed and special ed, are doing to work together to make sure every child feels accepted in our program. So I just want to thank all the principals for the hard work that they're doing. All right, let's jump into this. So this year, I have some numbers here to give you kind of a snapshot of the number of students that we're serving. And so this is over. I wanted to kind of look back at how we're growing. And so these are the different years that I've been responsible for our budget and our students. And you can kind of see our growth. And this year we have continued to grow. We are approaching 900 students currently. These are students actually in our building. We actually serve a little over 900 students because we serve kids in our community, private school students and so forth that also receive services. But these are students in our buildings, and as you can see, our numbers continue to grow. I want to show you how they're distributed. I do this each year so you can kind of see how they're distributed and how we're the assets that we're applying to help serve our students. So, for example, we'll use Arnold as an example. There are 52 students at the time. I did these numbers a few days ago. These numbers change daily, but it gives you an idea of where we are compared to each school. So Arnold has 52 students. That's down 5 students from last year. There are 2 dedicated special ed teachers and 3 assistants. And that last column, what we do is to create a ratio of the student to special ed personnel ratio. So there's a 10.4 to 1 ratio of students in Arnold. So as you work your way down that list, you can kind of see and compare across the district how we're serving our students. And our ratios are pretty balanced. There's some that you'll see, for example, like Discovery Pre-K has a very low ratio. That's because the 3 and 4 year olds need a small ratio, and so just to try to explain that. I also want to highlight there is an anomaly that I don't really have an explanation. I just find it really interesting. If you look at Mayfield this year, we don't really know why, but experienced extreme growth. They're up 28 students. They are now they serve the largest population of special ed students of any other elementary school. So they have now surpassed Blythe Bower and Candies Creek. So we're kind of in the process of trying to allocate more resources to help support those students at Mayfield. But that also makes it challenging because Mayfield is running out of space. Yeah. So just a few things to put on your radar as we're moving forward. I don't know if it's going to be a one-year anomaly or if we can anticipate continued growth there at Mayfield, but we're keeping a really close eye on Mayfield. The rest of our schools are very well balanced. If you have any questions, I'll pause here just for a second if that triggers any questions specifically about how our resources are allocated.
Anybody have any questions at this time?
I have one question. Are there more apartments being built around Mayfield? I was just wondering why it's increased so much.
I don't have an explanation. We talked a little bit about that this morning. I don't think anyone really has a solid explanation. So yeah, that's why I call it an anomaly. I really don't have an answer.
Strange.
Yeah, so yeah, it is fascinating. So yeah, we want to continue to look at that and see if we can anticipate what the needs are going to be moving forward. No, it's not. It's an outlier. I don't have an explanation why you're seeing such a spike. But they're truly there. You walk into those classrooms, they're
it's a little bit higher on the special ed trajectory positive than the overall enrollment, if that's kind of what you're asking.
That's what I thought you meant. You're comparing to the general population, is that what you're saying? I don't think that Mayfield, that they showed some growth, but not to the same percentage that we've seen our special population. So I really don't have an explanation.
I know, Mr. Tucker, you had a question, Mr. Tucker.
I'm sorry?
Pre-K.
That program is still at Stewart. Now we have 4 classrooms in that program, 2 are what we call self-contained, that are only special ed students, and 2 of those are what we call blended classrooms that have a combination of non-disabled and disabled students.
Mr. Tucker?
And what is your target number for the student to adult ratio?
You know, that kind of depends on the age. So we, for example, you know, Discovery, you're going to have a lower ratio. But we tend to, historically, we have floated between 10 to 13 as a number. And so yeah, so that number at Mayfield's a little high, but we've had higher. But that's why we're keeping a close eye on that to make sure that they have the support they need.
Thank you.
Yep.
I had one more question. This number of extra students, did they come from out of the state last year, or did they come from the county? Do you have any idea where they came from?
At this point, no, we really haven't been able to pinpoint an explanation for the growth. Yeah, but we'll continue to dig in. If I can pinpoint, you know, some explanation, I'll follow up.
Yeah, you wonder where they transferred
Sure.
from.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Transfer kindergarten, are they doing more targeting, like identifying special ed students at that school?
We've not identified any pattern, anything that would explain any difference, at this point. So, yeah, it's just kind of an anomaly at this point that we're continuing to look into, for sure. But, yeah.
Are you going to have to get another teacher?
I think if these numbers hold, I would say for sure by next year. I mean, if we continue to see that, we'd obviously want to see the same ratio as our other schools. So, yeah. So we'll see if those numbers hold, or if sometimes, you know, those numbers can go down. So we'll see.
Interesting.
All right. Thank you all. You have some more,
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Stein?
Yeah. So I always just want to update you on our budget. This is how much we're spending this year on our students. The bulk, of course, is out of our general purpose budget, which you all approve. And then we receive about close to a little under $1.5 million federal funds that we allocate, and then pre-K. We also have a grant of $135,000 that supports our pre-K programs currently. And so make sure you had a chance to look at that. Something I wanted to highlight, and really just earlier in the year, you all approved, the school board approved to have two positions moved off of the federal budget onto the general purpose budget. So first of all, I wanted to thank you for that, because and this will give some explanation of why we needed to do that. These are the figures of the allocations that we have received over the past several years. So that first column where it says allocations, that's the IDEA funds that we receive from the federal government. And what I wanted to point out, the majority of those funds actually is to pay for salaries. If you look back here, historically, since at least while I've been involved with this, we have funded 29 classified employees, so the classroom assistants that are that serve special education, and 4 certified employees that come out of that budget. And so, as you can see, that typically takes up more than 90% of our budget in a school year. But if you look going into last year, as salaries and the expenses for our personnel have risen, of course, those allocations from the federal government really aren't rising. So we actually exceeded that budget last year. And moving into this budget, we actually did not have enough federal money to pay those federal positions, which is why we asked for those 2 positions. And so I wanted to thank you for that. A lot of that has to do with the simple fact that over the course of several years, as we want to compete, we have raised salaries, and we've also improved the benefit packages for each employee. So that affects you know that budget that I mentioned here. When we approve, you know, a raise, that increases the expenses that come out of those federal budgets. So one of the points I wanted to make is just thank you all for being mindful when we have these, when we approve a raise, that we also have to consider the impact that has on positions that are paid out of federal budgets because those we have to account for those expenses, and eventually means we have to move some positions off the federal budget onto the GP budget. I wanted to first of all thank you for that. Here's a graph that kind of illustrates that over the past several years. So if you look at that it's supposed to be an orange line. That orange line represents the salaries, and the blue line is the allocations that we received. So if you look at the gap between those two lines, that's the money that I have to play with to pay for things, like classroom materials, cleaning supplies, all the different materials and equipment that any of our students might need. The gap there is what I have to work with to make sure that they have those. And so as you can see, as the salary expenses has raised, we had exceeded that. So that correction allowed us to be back under budget now and allows us funds that we can make sure that we have the materials that we need for our students. So thank you for that. Moving forward, our focus over the next 5 years, pretty fundamental. We want to continue to recruit and retain high quality staff. We want to make sure that they're trained and can help develop high quality individual education programs. We get monitored by the federal government. We have a report card. Some areas that we're continuing to work on are improving our ability to the planning for what we call post-secondary transitions. So those are those plans that help prepare our students for when they leave high school. And then on the other end, the transition plan from pre-K into kindergarten. So those are some areas that we're going to be focused on for the next couple of years. Some challenges that we are facing, I think I mentioned this last year. We continue to see a significant increase in complex needs, and honestly, that's on both the special ed side and the regular ed side. We're just seeing students are coming into our school district with needs that we haven't seen historically, and so that continues to be a challenge for us. And staffing, I think Cleveland City Schools is probably in the best position of most school districts across the state and probably across the country, but there is a nationwide shortage of specialized positions, things like speech pathologists, school psychologists, and even certified special ed teachers. There is a shortage, and so we continue to try to meet that need. And also, as those complex needs define classified folks that are willing to work in those complex environments, it's getting challenging. So those are the things that we'll be facing for the next, the upcoming years. And any questions about any of that? Yes, ma'am.
I was in a meeting this week with the different legislative representatives from the different school boards. I was not aware that the state of Tennessee does not give any funds to special ed. Were you all aware of that? Can't hear you.
Well, we have TISA formula funding, and so when you look at that, the way the base is, but then we are a component based off of the ULN. So there is a formula there above the TISA formula where
So
there is components of that.
One of the things that, and this was going to be a part of the report that I was going to give, so I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about it. But this is one of the bills that the TSBA is most concerned about, is the amount, and it was my understanding that they did very little, if any.
Well, the one area that we do have a focus on for that is the special ed pre-K component. That is the component. Yes.
Right. Especially
Pre-K is currently unfunded.
Yes.
Our K through 12 through the TISA formula, depending on a child's disability, it's a weighted formula. So students that may require more time, or maybe the disability is more complex, which maybe it requires, the formulas account for that. So one child may generate a different funding amount than another child based on the complexity of their disability.
But one of the this is Nolan Combs, who is the TSBA board person that works with us on this. And he said that this is the most important bill that the TSBA is working on this year with our legislators, is to get more funding, or if we're not getting any, then at least ask for some
Yes.
for SPED pre-K.
Yes.
And so
It
it's
is
sad.
currently the formula does not include those 3 and 4 year olds, or even 5-year-olds if they're not in
Right,
kindergarten.
right.
So yes, those are unfunded. So yes,
Right.
I hope they're going to respond. And
Yes, so
yeah, we appreciate that.
I was blown out of the water when I realized that they did not.
And the mandates continue. The mandates
mandate
continue
is
to grow,
there,
but the
yes.
funding is
Yes, the
currently
mandate
is
is
not
there, but
Right.
they just haven't funded that particular group of kids. So that's one of the things we want to work on this year, is to get some funding for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question.
Ms.
How,
Pesfield?
how do we advertise for those specialized positions in special ed?
That primarily funnels through our HR department, and they do a wonderful job. I mean, they use a variety of social media in addition to, I know it goes out through a number of platforms, not just across the state, but nationally, like Indeed and some of the other large sort of job boards. I know they use a variety of strategies to try to attract folks.
It seems like a lot of people are wanting to move to Cleveland or move south. You'd think that there would be more people available.
Yeah, and like I say, I think we're in a lot better shape than a lot of our neighbors are when it comes to, I know, a lot of them still have vacancies. We're pretty well staffed, other than I think a speech pathologist position that has been very difficult. But
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe we need to say something at TSBA
Yes,
that we need some people.
anything we can do, yes, because that need will continue to grow, and we want to be as competitive as we can be.
Any other comments or questions?
I have one. You've been in this role a good while, like long enough to compare pre-TISA to BEP, like in terms of how much funding we get for special ed. I'm asking, yeah.
So those funds go into the general purpose fund, and so most of the funds that I work with directly, that I'm responsible for, are those IDEA funds that come from the federal government. So I can speak more specifically to the IDEA, the federal funds. So far up to this point, it's, with the TISA funding, anytime that we've had a need, but all those funds that get poured into the general purpose fund, Dr. Elliott, Ms. Guerin, there has been the funding. So far, there hasn't really been any needs that have gone unmet for our students, financially speaking.
Well, and then I don't know that we would allow needs to go unmet, but maybe the question is for you or someone else. I mean, have we noticed a trend? Since the transition to TISA, are we as well funded as before in terms of meeting student needs? Are we better positioned? Are we positioned not as well? At some point, we're going to have to take a look at TISA and say, okay, now it's been in place for an X number of years. How's it working? And with the special ed challenge, I think this is the most important place that TISA does need to be meeting needs. Do we have a sense of that?
Well, since I've been looking at it, I think we've been financially in a good spot since we've been looking at TISA. As you've noticed, the general budget has grown with the TISA formula for us, and we've been in a good spot for that. And we do want to take into account above the TISA base are for those different categories that we look at, and so with the diversity that we do have in intervention programs from special populations to ESL and to some other areas, obviously that helps give us additional funding. CTE is another one of those areas. So it has been beneficial to see that, but that's what brings us back to keeping track of our data, and that transitions again to the team. Ms. Guerin does a great job of finances, and then Mr. Cars and his team, and Mr. Stevens from CTE World, and all our staff looking all the time on how many students are in attendance and making sure they're in there is so important for that ADM in those areas to make sure that TISA stays up and higher. So because of that, at least we see what the formula is a little bit. The funding formula in TISA, I think, is a little seems to be clearer than what we were seeing in BEP for sure. So we'll continue to watch that. The funding floor that the legislators talked about last year, and we'll be watching and monitoring that a little closer this year as the vouchers went into play, and seeing if that funding floor stays equipped to stay up on that moving into next year based off of that funding floor. So stay tuned. We'll be glad to give you more updates as the year goes and we see what our trajectory is going to be for next school year too. Okay.
Another concern that this group had is what would happen if the Department of Ed, whatever might happen there that's been discussed, and they are very concerned as to what might, especially in special ed, if and where would it, it's just a big question mark.
Sure. Yeah, I think there's a lot of anxiety around that. I will say, though, the funding part of that has always seemed to be very, very dependable. That money gets sent to the Tennessee Department of Ed, and so it's they're sort of tasked with how it's distributed within the state. And so we're not as reliant on those positions that are furloughed and those kind of things from the federal side of it, other than maybe the monitoring side that we might I might welcome a little bit of a break from that. But
that was something we were urged to keep our eye on.
Sure.
To see,
yeah.
see
Yeah. I
what
think
happens
I think we all have a little anxiety about just the uncertainty of some of the federal.
And I think that's true
Sure.
across the board.
And that's not just SPED, but yes. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Petchfield.
Yeah, I just want to say that you do an excellent job, and I know how stressful your job is, too. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stone.
All right, next on the agenda, we have a student representatives update, and we'll turn to Ms. Hakes for that update.
So, starting with sports, as they mentioned previously, both the Cleveland High School boys and girls cross country teams competed at regionals, and the girls team placed fourth and the boys team finished second, which they both qualified for the state meet, which is on Friday. And actually, Owen Clemens won the race, so that was pretty cool. And then in sports, Kaylee Mejia was recently honored at the Tennessee Titans game as a part of the NFL Latin Youth Honors Program, recognizing her academic commitments and achievements and exceptional performance on the football field. Additionally, the CHS basketball teams will host a play day, giving the community the opportunity to meet the teams and participate in scrimmage games throughout the day. Band earned the highest visual score of the day and placed second overall at the recent competition at the Yellow Jacket Classic. In theater, the Cleveland High School Theater recently competed at the Tennessee Theater Association one-act competition, where Chloe Lewis and Renaya Turner were named all-star cast members. And then their annual department will host its playoffs, each grade performing and competing for awards, which the performances will be November 13th and the 14th at 7 p.m. and November 15th at 2 p.m. Choir, as they said again previously, we were proud to celebrate Tiffany Cade and Amelia Wiseman for being selected to the Freshman All-East Honor Choir. They will join the other freshmen from across East Tennessee and perform at Lee University on the 22nd of this month. We also celebrated this past week in partnership with ATS The Bridge, Red Ribbon Week, promoting safe and a drug-free lifestyle for all students. So to celebrate that, throughout the week, students participated in themed dress-up days and activities designed to encourage positive choices and raise awareness about the importance of living drug-free. We also hosted our trunk or treat for the third year in a row, and it was a tremendous success. Even though we had to move it inside, it was still so much fun, and it was a great time for a lot of people showed up, so it was a great opportunity. Raider Evolve has continued its tradition of selling coffee and cookies to the students on Friday mornings. When I tell you they sell out every single week. They sell out every single week. Additionally, they're making little like mobile like files where they'll be able to sell merchandise at basketball games or wrestling matches. So, other clubs, the Interact Club members attended the special Rotary Club meeting with the Rotary International President, Ms. Stephanie. Also, CHS leadership students harvested the very first crops from the garden beds at Cleveland City Schools Family Resource Center. And then our principal was nominated for a finalist to be Tennessee Principal of the Year. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Also, we also had the Hall of Fame. So we nominated or inducted 6 new members into our Hall of Fame this past month. Now that's it.
Dr. Elliott, we've got a comment or maybe a question. I love this idea around the basketball where they meet the Raiders in one court, one Raider family. Is this the first year?
Yes.
I think it is for basketball. I can't remember. Ms. Bender, you might remember. If several years. First in a long time.
Yeah, that's great, and I love that concept. So look forward to seeing how that turns out. All right, next on the agenda, we have a facilities update. Guess I'll turn to Mr. Lay, and then you can take it from there, wherever you guys are headed with that.
I will turn it back over to Dr. Elliott.
All right. We have one main component on our agenda for tonight. It's related to groundskeeping contract and the way we're going to like to recommend to move forward. So I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Taylor.
Yes, last week when we discussed that we would look at using $150,000 to purchase equipment for the groundskeeping crew and then replace the budget presently, or replace the contract presently in March with $150,000 to hire 2 full-time and 2 part-time people to move forward in March to have our own groundskeeping crew by then, so that in the spring we'll actually be operating our own, taking care of our own facilities and handling all the groundskeeping in-house.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? And then before we bring this as a proposal?
The current contract, when does it run out?
March 15th.
March 15th, okay, so.
So if this is approved, when is the expected hire dates?
The expected hire dates would be by March 15th.
Well, yeah, well, they'd all be in place by March 15th. Yeah. I would probably look at the lead position in January and bring them in to help with bringing in, getting the equipment, getting everything in place, getting them acclimated to what all has to be done, because there's quite a bit that will have to be oriented with them. So that's probably looking in January to start advertising to hire the person and get them in.
Well, I'll just say I'm looking forward to the impact that this change is going to make on our grounds, because I guess I will venture out and say also that that's probably the #1 complaint that I get. Why isn't the grass cut? Mm-hmm. And so I appreciate you taking a look at that and making this change.
Yes, sir.
I know there'll probably be some upfront costs for equipment, but down the road, is there like a comparison? And do you have some sense of like if we're saving money on this work, or?
We have saved money by going contract per se, but our facilities have always shown the savings. If you want, if you want me to be honest about it, that's just when we're in house. The bottom line is that contractor, we always have to take low bid. and then we always end up regretting, because no matter what we do, it's a constant battle to ride the lawnscape. Ever since I've been here, that's probably one of the hardest battles, has stayed on them to do their contract and do their job.
One aspect of this, though, we will have them for throughout the entire year.
Right, right.
And so we'll be able to, beyond just the lawn upkeep, utilize these individuals for other exterior projects that we have.
Pressure washing, keeping the playgrounds fixed and repaired and updated, keeping mulch in not only the beds but in the playgrounds. So they'll do a lot more than what we're seeing now.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this proposal that Mr. Taylor has brought to us and bring the groundskeeping services within Cleveland City Schools instead of contracting those services as we move into 2026.
So Dr. Elliott can't make a motion, so let's accept this as a recommendation.
Recommendation is what I meant to say. I'm sorry.
All right, so we have this recommendation presented to us board to move forward with this groundskeeping contract or switching from the groundskeeping contract to employees, 2 full-time and 2 part-time employees. Like to entertain a motion? We have the one from Matt Coleman. We have a second. Second from Renee Diamond. Call to vote, please.
Carolyn Ingram,
Yes.
Andy Lay,
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield,
Yes.
Jody Riggins,
Yes.
Nate Tucker,
Yes.
Renee Diamond,
Yes.
Matt Coleman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, next on the agenda is our legislative update. But before we move and turn this over to Ms. Ingram, I want to make sure that you guys know what we're going to do for the delegate assembly at the TSBA convention coming in a couple weeks. I've appointed Ms. Carolyn Ingram, Andy Lay, and Jody Riggins to represent Cleveland City Schools on the delegate assembly floor, and these will be the only 3 that are allowed to vote, but everyone is welcome to attend. So, Ms. Ingram, the floor.
Okay, as I said, I had a meeting last week with the different legislative representatives, and a lot of the bills that will be coming up this year were on the docket last year, and they were either just put aside or somebody else will be bringing them up. So, but you will hear all about this several times between now and the time they're voted on. But there were 2 that, as I said, one was the SPED pre-K that they're really concerned about, and the other is the voucher program and what's going to happen to the vouchers next year as far as will it be increased? It's just some real questions that they have. So, but all of this will be coming up next week when we're in Nashville.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Ingram? Comments? All right, it is 6:28, and we'll consider the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education meeting adjourned.